SAP Business One 9.1 Production Module Enhancements. With Production Module, we have the ability to capture production costs and have visibility over production capacity and time. Bills of materials and production orders can now be managed flexibly. We now have the ability to manage byproducts. Let's go to the system and see how this works. Here we have SAP Business One 9.1. Let's start by going to Resources and open up Resource Master Data. We already have here some resources defined, so let's choose one. Resource Master Data is like Business Partner and Inventory Master Data. We have always the numbering and the different tabs here, but what is new, we have resource types. We can either have machine, labor or other types of resources. Then the next one what we have is a resource group. These can be freely defined, and we have defined here 3 different groups. Let's open this definition up, and we can see for machines we have defined default costs. For electricity and water we can define up to 10 different costs. This will be always defaulted then in Resource Master Data once we select the group here. Of course, user can manually adjust these costs if so required. Then we have resource time units. Here in this case 1 hour, 1 unit per time period. And on General tab we have the issue methods, backflash or manual, and resource allocation, either automatic or on due date. On due date is the default one, but in this case we have automatic. I will show the effect of this later on in a demonstration. Then we have capacity data per warehouse for the selected time period. Then we have planning data. Here we have daily capacity factors, 8 hours and 2 shifts, and this results in 16 hours of daily capacity. We have as well tabs for fixed assets, properties, attachments and remarks. Then let's go to resource capacity. Here we can view capacities for different types. Let's start by choosing internal. This is the one what we have defined as our capacity. This comes from via setting the daily internal capacities. So let's open this window. Here we can always, after having defined the resource master data, we can define the capacities. We can have here the capacity period selected, warehouses. We can even update individual resources if so required. And here we can choose either the data from resource master data, or we can enter into a grid manually. We can as well increase or decrease capacities. So let's do it. Let's select one resource, say L1000. So let's select here L1000 and increase it by 2 hours. Now you can see we have 16 hours currently the capacity, but once we update this, it will go up to 18 hours. We can as well increase or decrease by percentage. Now let's go to production and to bill of materials. Let's look for the one that we already have defined. And here what is new is we can include different types. We have items, resources and text. Text can be used, for example, instructions. Like in this case, we have a short instruction step by step. Then what as well is new, we can freely change the order of the rows by simply using these arrow buttons. We can move up and down several or individual rows at one time. And then here we have the resource quantities. We can even include additional quantities if you want, even say for setup time, or if we have standard wastage or something, we can include it in here. We can define warehouses and the issue methods. And here we can as well include byproducts. For this bill of materials, there is one byproduct, and it is entered here as a negative quantity. For this byproduct, we have selected issue method manual, so that when we report completion, we can choose the number of byproducts we have created. Then we can as well add comments on row level. We can define a different VIP account than the standard one, and we can include even user-defined fields. Here we have defined one for priority. This will then be carried over to production order. So let's go to production order and plan a product. Let's choose our BOM and let's plan, say, 20, and let's choose as the due date next week, Tuesday. Here we can now see the planned quantities. Of course, planned quantity times base quantity. We have the planned quantity. Here as well we can include additional quantities. Then we can see what the issue method is. We can change it here, and we see the runtimes. Runtime for the planned ones and runtime for additional times. This comes of course as well from resource master data from the times that we have defined. And as well the UDF, the value that we defined in a bill of materials, is here. Let's add this one. And now let's go to resource capacity. Here, let's refresh. No change in here, but in committed we can see what we have now planned for next week, Tuesday. We can see a difference here. We have on these two rows 20, and the reason being is when we go to resource master data, we can see that the resource allocation we selected was on due date. So everything will be planned for the due date. Here where we have not the 20 but less, then it takes the available quantity from due date and distributes it backwards to available days. For this one we should have automatic, and so we do. We can as well, when we click here, we can see the production order. And of course, if we see that the schedule gets tight, we can change the planning of our production orders simply by using this as visual aid. So let's go back to production, to our production order that we just created. Let's release this. And now that we have released, we have everything backflashed, so no need to issue components. We can just simply go and report completion. Here we can now enter the quantities for our byproducts. Say in this case we were able to produce 22 byproducts, so we can add it. Now, of course, the planning we have consumed. If we were here to go to consumed, we can see, because we completed the production order, we will see everything here. So let's go now back to our production order and let's close this. Now we can go to Summary tab and go to Journal Remark. We can see all the individual resources posted to their own accounts. These accounts are defined in advanced account determination, or we can as well use the default one for resources, what we have available. Let me just show this to you as well. Let's go to Administration, Setup, Financials, GL Account Determination, and go to Resources. The options here, we can define the accounts for each of the standard costs, or per default we have for always for resources the advanced option is available. So here as well we can define then advanced rules for resources. We as well have the ability to do VIP mapping. We can consolidate from account to account, and this one we have as well activated here. This is in case we want to say we are producing, example, a wheel, so we can then consolidate the individual component costs when closing the production order. Thank you. This concludes the demonstration.